G'day guys, Michael from BeYourBestSelf.fitness here. This video I want to talk about how natural athletes, natural guys in the gym, girls in the gym can help to build muscle mass once you tend to hit that plateau after experiencing some of those beginner gains. The reason I'm doing this is I'm not pro or against, performance enhancing drug use or anything like that, but this is just the route that I've taken. I've decided to see what I can do with my body naturally, and I've come across a lot of obstacles along the way, and it's my passion as a personal trainer to understand the science and all of the knowledge that comes with performing at your best and getting the best out of your body, how to maximize those things in the gym like muscle mass development, strength development, all of those things. That's my passion. So I spent just years and years and years digging into the nitty-gritty of that stuff. But I understand that just people who are just going to the gym to better themselves, to look better, to feel better, to be healthier, all of those things aren't going to put in that time. And what I experienced as a young person in the gym is that there is a lot of bro science or a lot of bro tips that go around about what you need to be doing in the gym to get certain results. And what I found over time is that a lot of that was really inaccurate. And it's only because that I put in the time to research and dig into this stuff that I started to see where people were going wrong. And then I started to see the results that I want to see. Now, obviously, I'm not a super jacked guy, so it might be a little funny talking about how to put on muscle mass, but I have been able to put on 15 kilos since I started in the gym, and I'm happy with where my body's at now. I'm an athlete. I like to stay active. I like to play sports, and one of those sports is golf, so I can't be that bulky in that sport, but I've learnt how to break through some of these plateaus that a lot of us face when we're trying to put on muscle mass as a young person or an older person or whatever the case may be. Now, one of these issues is centered around that hypertrophy training is 8 to 12 reps. Now, hypertrophy just basically meaning muscle mass, muscle size. So if we're wanting to increase muscle size, we stick in the 8 to 12 rep range, and that is accurate to a point. However, it's very easy to plateau sticking in that rep range because it's not doing a lot for developing strength. So we get stronger initially, we're able to up the weights initially and increase our weight that we're using in those rep ranges. But there does come a point where, because that rep range isn't developing enough strength, we hit a plateau. And if we can't increase the weight, then we're not able to increase the volume, which is just weight times reps times sets, significantly enough to continue to develop muscle. We can increase the reps, which does increase the volume, but we tend to get into that muscle endurance phase where we're not really building any strength at all, and we're not really building a lot of mass either. We're just increasing our muscle endurance. So what I learned over time was that we still needed to handle heavy weights in those strength-focused rep ranges in order to break through that plateau in the hypertrophy range. Now, strength rep ranges tend to go from 6 down to about 3. Debates out on 1 and 2 because it's more about explosive power and doing singles in training. 1 reps in training isn't going to actually increase strength a whole lot, but it's more about honing in technique. If you're a powerlifter, honing in your technique under 95 to 100% of your 1 rep max. Anyway, besides the point. But we still need to hit in those strength rep ranges in order to break through plateaus. Now, I know a lot of people wouldn't even consider doing that if we're talking about bicep curls, for example, but it is still really important and we still need to do that. Although the two, so strength rep ranges and hypertrophy rep ranges, do overlap in terms of what they do to us, what they stimulate. So in the hypertrophy rep ranges, we are still developing some strength in the muscle, but there's not necessarily enough load to develop significant amount of strength in our tendons, ligaments, connective tissue, and deeper fibers in the muscle as well. Whereas in the strength rep range, it does that really well. It does increase our tendon, ligament, joint strength, connective tissue strength, as well as stimulating some muscle development as well. But when we can combine those two together, we really get the best of both worlds. So there's a couple of ways that we can do that. We can incorporate phases in our training where we're doing strength-focused training. So we're sticking to those lower rep ranges, maybe working down from 6, 5, 4, 3, over a linear period. Or we can also incorporate hybrid training where we're doing both of those at the same time. You might have heard hybrid training, you might have heard power building, power bodybuilding from the likes of Mike O'Hearn, who actually, years and years ago inspired me to start digging into this a lot more. Now, he claims to be a natural athlete. I'm not going to speak on that. He has an incredible physique, but he spoke about the fact that natural athletes do need to significantly train strength in order to maintain muscle mass. The benefits of steroids is that you can actually be taking anabolic steroids sitting on the couch and developing muscle mass. And it is very effective at developing muscle mass and muscle size in higher rep ranges. So a lot of times we see pro bodybuilders and Instagram dudes, sticking to those high rep ranges and doing tons of drop sets and things like that. And it's very effective for them because of the stuff that they're taking. Now, like I mentioned, I'm neither here nor there on that. That's not my place, but I'm just sticking to, my journey and my convictions in wanting to stay natural. So, but we can get misled by that, especially the young guys, who are really influenced by this stuff. We're seeing these guys doing super high rep ranges and being jacked as F. So it can be misleading. So I'm glad I sort of got inspired by Mike O'Hearn in that sense, that I started to dig more into this and realize the benefits of strength training. So now most of my training is actually powerlifting based. I love the compound movements. I love, lifting heavy weight. And I was able to see the benefits of that. So when it comes to things like arms, for example, it can be difficult doing a strength focused phase on arms, like single joint movements, biceps and triceps, for example. So we do need to be wary of that. We can tend to wear out, wrists and elbows quite easily. And I did find that when I got really excited about strength training initially as well. So when it comes to things like arms, I definitely recommend doing a hybrid where, your first exercise might be that big strength builder. You've got a barbell bicep curl, you're getting in 6, 5, 4 reps for that. And then you're following 1 or 2 exercises, maybe more in that hypertrophy rep range. So you're stimulating both of those. You're stimulating those deeper muscle fibers, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, and then you're going in and getting that volume that's required for muscle size development in those high rep ranges as well. Compound movements like squats and deadlifts are easier to stick in those strength phases for longer periods of time, sticking in those higher loads, higher intensity, lower rep ranges, because that stress is distributed over multiple joints, knees, hips, ankles as well. So hence powerlifters will stay in those phases a lot longer. But even they, take those hypertrophy breaks and those deload weeks to let the body recover, let the joints recover, because it is still strenuous, but it is, an integral part of getting stronger. So in order to break through the plateaus of hypertrophy training, 8 to 12 rep ranges, we need to develop more strength in order to handle more weight in those rep ranges, to get more volume, to get more stimulus in muscle mass and muscle growth. So those are my tips on that. Now, what I'm going to be doing in the next video is also covering some of the exercises that we can do that can help sort of cheat that system in the sense of overloading those muscles and helping to break through those plateaus. So I'll go through some of those good things, cheat curls and things like that, that, a lot of times people mock on the internet, but when they don't have the knowledge, they don't understand the place that has. So obviously we're not in there to do cheat curls every week, but they can really have a significant place in developing the strength of those muscles in order to break through some of the plateaus that we may hit. So in summing that up, I think I've covered most of the things that I want to cover. Obviously I love the knowledge of this and I tend to ramble on quite a bit, but sticking to the 8 to 12 rep range is the hypertrophy rep range. It is effective for a time, but it does tend to plateau us, particularly with our single joint movements, like our arms. So what we need to do is then go into that strength phase or hybrid style training where we're getting into those strength rep ranges, 6, 5, 4, 3, for example. We're developing those other areas of the muscle, the tendons, the joints, ligaments, connective tissue, all of those good things. So we can handle more weight in the hypertrophy rep range. It helps to break through those plateaus. If you stick in the 8 to 12, then you're not going to get the strength needed to continue to up the weight in those rep ranges. And increasing those rep ranges is only going to leak into more endurance training and less mass and strength development. So think about incorporating some of those hybrid programs. I've got those program templates on my website, beyourbestself.fitness, as well as in-depth technique tutorials, information on nutrition, mobility, all of those wonderful things. It is a one-stop shop for all of your gym training needs. That's about it, guys. Like I mentioned, another video coming up with some of those exercises that you can incorporate to break through some of those plateaus. But that's about it from me, Michael from beyourbestself.fitness. Comment as much as you like. I will respond. I look forward to connecting with you. Thanks again for watching.